The ship was dying, and Ambassador Kethra knew it. Warning lights flashed across every surface of the Volanthi diplomatic vessel. The beautiful crystalline engines that had carried her across 1,000 star systems were cracking and failing. Strange sounds filled the air, sounds that no starship should ever make. The vessel shook and trembled like a wounded animal. Kethra gripped her control console with all 4 of her slender arms. Her iridescent skin, normally a calm shade of silver blue, had turned pale with fear. She had traveled to hundreds of worlds. She had met species of every kind. She had never once been afraid during a mission, but she was afraid now. The solar flare had come without warning. One moment she was entering Earth's solar system, preparing for a routine evaluation mission. The next moment, a massive burst of energy from the local star had torn through her ship's delicate systems. Navigation failed first, then communications. Then, worst of all, the engines. Earth filled her viewing screen. It was a pretty world, she had to admit. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds swirling across its surface. The humans called it home. 8 billion of them lived down there, completely unaware that an alien vessel was falling toward their planet. The Galactic Council had sent Kethra to evaluate humanity. Every few centuries, the Council checked on developing species to see if they were ready to join the galactic community. The humans had been building primitive spacecraft for about 100 years now. They had sent robots to other planets in their system. They had even put a few of their own people on their moon. It was not impressive. The Volanthi had been traveling between stars when humans were still living in caves. The Council's preliminary assessment had been clear. Humanity was too young, too primitive, too limited. They were thousands of years away from being ready. Kethra had agreed with that assessment. She had expected this mission to be boring. A simple visit, a simple report, and then back to the civilized parts of the galaxy. Now she was going to crash on this backward planet. And there was nothing she could do about it. The ship's computer spoke in a calm voice. That seemed almost cruel given the situation. Impact in 3 minutes. Emergency landing protocols engaged. Brace for contact. Kethra closed her large, dark eyes and thought of her home world. She thought of the crystal cities that floated above purple oceans. She thought of her family, her friends, her life. Would she ever see any of it again? The ship hit the atmosphere and began to burn. Through the viewing screen, Kethra watched fire dance across the hull. The vessel screamed through the sky, leaving a trail of smoke and light behind it. She wondered if the humans could see her falling. She wondered if they would understand what they were seeing. The ground came up fast. Too fast. The ship's emergency systems did what they could, slowing the descent, cushioning the impact. But it was still violent. Kethra was thrown from her seat. Metal screamed and tore. Glass shattered. Then, finally, silence. For a long moment, Kethra did not move. She lay on the floor of her ruined vessel, breathing hard, checking her body for injuries. She was bruised and shaken, but alive. That was something. Slowly, painfully, she pulled herself to her feet. The ship was destroyed. That much was obvious. Smoke filled the air. Sparks flew from broken consoles. The beautiful crystalline engine that had powered her vessel was cracked down the middle, its inner light fading like a dying star. Kethra made her way to the exit hatch. It took all her strength to force it open. When she finally stepped outside, the heat hit her like a physical blow. Desert. Nothing but desert in every direction. The sun hung in a cloudless sky, brutal and unforgiving. Sand stretched to the horizon, broken only by occasional rocks and dry, dead plants. The air was so hot that it hurt to breathe. Kethra had visited many harsh worlds, but this place seemed designed to kill. She checked her equipment. Her personal communicator was dead, fried by the same solar flare that had destroyed her ship. Her emergency beacon was broken. Her water supply had spilled during the crash, leaving her with only a small amount. The situation was very bad. Kethra understood technology. She understood it better than most beings in the galaxy. She knew exactly what was wrong with her ship. The quantum core at the heart of the engine had fractured. The crystalline matrices that channeled power had shattered. The navigation computer had been completely wiped. She also knew that none of it could be fixed. Not here. Not on this primitive world. The humans had impressive determination. She would grant them that. They had built rockets and satellites and space stations using technology that the Volanthi considered ancient. But they were still thousands of years away from understanding quantum cores. They had no concept of crystalline power matrices. They could not even detect the energy frequencies that her ship operated on. Kethra was stranded on a planet where no one could help her. She found a patch of shade near the wreckage and sat down. The heat was already affecting her. Her skin was starting to crack and dry. Her people were not built for such harsh conditions. They needed moisture, coolness, gentle light. This desert was the opposite of everything she needed. Hours passed. The sun moved slowly across the sky. Kethra felt herself growing weaker. She thought about the report she would never file. She thought about the council waiting for her return. She thought about how strange it was that she would die on this small, blue planet that the humans loved so much. Then she heard something. It was a low rumbling sound, coming from somewhere in the distance. Kethra lifted her head and looked toward the horizon. A cloud of dust was moving toward her, and at its center was some kind of vehicle. Humans. They were coming. Kethra did not know if this was good or bad. She knew very little about human behavior. Would they help her? Would they fear her? Would they attack? She was too weak to run, too weak to hide. All she could do was wait. The vehicle grew closer. It was a primitive thing, running on wheels and burning some kind of liquid fuel. The humans called them trucks, if she remembered correctly. This one was old and battered, covered in dust and rust. It stopped a short distance from her crashed ship. Two figures stepped out. One was a full-grown human male, tall and strong, with brown skin and tired eyes. He wore simple clothing and a cap on his head. His hands were rough and calloused, the hands of someone who worked hard. The other was a small human child, a boy with the same brown skin and bright, curious eyes. He could not have been more than 8 years old. The boy looked at Kethra. He looked at her forearms, her silver skin, her alien features. And instead of screaming, instead of running, he smiled. "Dad," the boy whispered, his voice full of wonder. "She's an alien." The man looked at Kethra for a long moment. Then he looked at her damaged ship. Then he did something that surprised her more than anything else that had happened that day. He tipped his cap politely and said, "Ma'am, you look like you could use some help." Kethra stared at the human man and his son. She had studied humans before coming to Earth. She had read reports about their wars, their violence, their fear of things they did not understand. She had expected them to run from her. She had expected them to attack. She had not expected kindness. The man reached into his vehicle and pulled out a container of water. He walked toward her slowly, his hands open and empty, showing he meant no harm. The boy followed close behind, still staring at her with those bright, curious eyes. "Here," the man said, holding out the water. "You look like you need this more than we do." Kethra hesitated. Her translator implant was working, converting his words into her language, but she still did not fully trust the situation. Then her body reminded her how thirsty she was. She took the water and drank deeply. "Thank you," she said. Her voice sounded strange in this dry air. "I am called Kethra. I am an ambassador from the Volanthi people. The man nodded as if meeting aliens was something that happened to him every day. Name's Sam Garcia. This here's my boy, Danny. Danny waved at her. Hi, is that your spaceship? It's really cool. Well, it was cool before it crashed. What happened to it? Danny, Sam said gently, give the lady some space. She's had a rough day. But Kethra found herself almost smiling. The child's honesty was refreshing. A solar flare damaged my vessel. I lost control and crashed here. I am afraid the damage is very serious. Sam looked at the smoking wreckage. He walked around it slowly, studying it from different angles. His eyes moved over the broken hull, the shattered crystal, the sparking electronics. He did not touch anything, but he looked at everything. What kind of engine does it run on? He asked. Kethra blinked. That was not the question she had expected. It uses a quantum core to generate power. The core channels energy through crystalline matrices to create thrust. It is very advanced technology. Sam nodded slowly. Quantum core. Like a reactor? In some ways, yes, but much more complex. The core exists in multiple states at once. It draws energy from the quantum field itself. She paused. I do not think your people have anything similar. Probably not, Sam admitted. But a machine's a machine. Mind if I take a closer look? Kethra did not know what to say. The idea of this primitive human examining Volanthi technology was almost funny. What could he possibly understand? What could he possibly do? But she had no other options. She was stranded. Her ship was broken. And these two humans were the only help available. You may look, she said, but I must warn you, the damage is beyond repair. The technology required to fix a quantum core does not exist on your planet. Sam just smiled a little. We'll see about that. Danny, stay with the nice alien lady. Don't touch anything that looks dangerous. Okay, Dad. Sam climbed into the wreckage and disappeared inside. Kethra could hear him moving around, could hear him muttering to himself as he examined things. She did not have much hope, but she appreciated his effort. Danny sat down next to her in the shade. He had 100 questions, and he asked every single one of them. How far away is your home planet? Do you have brothers and sisters? What do you eat? Can you breathe the same air as us? Why is your skin shiny? Do you have pets? What's space like? Is it scary? Do you have a mom and dad? Kethra answered as best she could. Her home world was very far away, more than 1,000 light years. She had 2 siblings. She ate mostly plants and minerals. Yes, she could breathe Earth's air, though she preferred air with more moisture. Her skin was shiny because her people evolved near reflective oceans. She did have pets, small floating creatures that sang. Space was beautiful but also lonely. And yes, she had parents, though among her people, family structures were different. Danny listened to every answer with complete attention. He did not seem afraid of her at all. He seemed excited, happy, fascinated. That's so cool, he said after she described her home world. I want to go to space someday. Dad says maybe I can be an astronaut when I grow up. Your people have astronauts, Kethra acknowledged. They are brave, if limited in their reach. Dad says there's nothing we can't do if we work hard enough. He says the only limits are the ones we put on ourselves. Kethra looked at the child. Such simple faith. Such innocent confidence. She wondered if that faith would survive contact with the larger universe, where species had been traveling between stars for millions of years while humans were still learning to walk upright. Your father seems like a wise man, she said carefully. He's the best, Danny said proudly. He can fix anything. Everybody in town brings their stuff to him when it breaks. Cars, trucks, tractors, generators. One time, He even fixed old Mrs. Patterson's TV using parts from a washing machine. She gave him a whole pie as thanks. "That is impressive," Kethra said, though she was not sure what a TV or a washing machine was. "But my ship is very different from the machines your father usually repairs." Danny shook his head firmly. "Doesn't matter. My dad can fix it." Before Kethra could respond, Sam emerged from the wreckage. His clothes were dirty, and his face was smeared with something that might have been grease or might have been alien lubricant. But his eyes were bright. "Okay," he said, sitting down across from Kethra. "I think I understand the basics. The core thing is cracked, right? That's the main problem?" "Yes, the quantum core has fractured. Without it, the ship cannot generate power. And the crystal stuff? That's like wiring? It carries the power from the core to the engines?" Kethra stared at him. "That is a simplified explanation, but essentially correct. And the computer that runs everything. It got wiped by that solar flare you mentioned?" "Yes," Sam nodded. "All right. So we need to fix the core, replace the crystal wiring, and reboot the computer. That's the list." Kethra shook her head. "You do not understand. A quantum core cannot be fixed with human technology. It requires materials and equipment that your species will not develop for another 3,000 years. Sam was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Ma'am, with respect, I've been fixing things my whole life. I fixed stuff that experts said couldn't be fixed. I've made machines run with parts they were never designed to use. I once kept an old army truck running in the middle of a war zone using nothing but wire, tape, and sheer stubbornness." He looked at her crashed ship. "Now, I'm not saying I understand your technology. I don't. But I understand systems. I understand how power flows. I understand how things connect. And I think, maybe, I can figure something out." Kethra wanted to argue. She wanted to explain that Volanti technology was not like human technology. It was not a matter of wires and parts. It was quantum physics, crystalline resonance, energy states that existed beyond normal space. But she looked at Sam Garcia's determined face. She looked at Danny's confident smile. And she realized she had nothing to lose. "Very well," she said. "I will help you understand the systems. But I do not believe this will work." Sam stood up and offered her his hand. "That's all I ask. A chance to try." Kethra took his hand and let him help her to her feet. His grip was strong and warm. "Come on," Sam said. "Let's get you out of this heat. My house isn't far. We can make a plan there." As they walked toward the old truck, Danny ran ahead, still full of energy despite the blazing sun. "This is so cool," he shouted. "We're gonna fix an alien spaceship. I can't wait to tell everyone at school." Sam laughed. "Maybe let's keep this between us for now, buddy. Don't want to cause a panic." Danny looked disappointed but nodded. "Okay, Dad, our secret." Kethra climbed into the truck. It was cramped and uncomfortable and smelled like oil and sweat. But it was also cool, thanks to a primitive air conditioning system that hummed and rattled Dot as they drove away from the crash site. She looked back at her broken ship. It sat alone in the desert, surrounded by nothing but sand and silence. She still did not believe it could be fixed. But for the first time since the crash, she felt something that surprised her Dot hope. The Garcia home was small and simple. It sat at the edge of a tiny desert town, surrounded by nothing but sand and sky. The paint was faded. The porch creaked. An old dog slept in the shade, too lazy to bark at the alien visitor Dot, but inside, it was comfortable and clean. There were pictures on the walls, pictures of Danny at different ages, pictures of Sam in a military uniform, and pictures of a beautiful woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. Kethra noticed Danny looking at one of those pictures. His face was soft and sad. "That's my mom," he said quietly. "She died when I was little. Dad says she's watching over us from heaven." "I am sorry for your loss," Kethra said. She meant it. Danny brightened almost immediately, the way children do. "It's okay. Dad takes really good care of me. And Mom wouldn't want us to be sad all the time. She'd want us to be happy and help people." Sam came in from the kitchen with glasses of cold water. "All right, let's talk about this ship of yours." For the next several hours, Kethra explained Volanthi technology to Sam Garcia. She used simple words and basic concepts, expecting him to get lost quickly. But he surprised her. He asked questions that showed real understanding. He made connections she had not expected. He drew diagrams on paper, trying to visualize systems he had never seen before. "So the quantum core," he said slowly, "it's like a battery, but it doesn't store energy. It creates energy by existing in multiple states at once." "That is correct. And the crystalline matrices, they're like fiber optic cables. They carry the energy, but they also shape it, focus it, direct it where it needs to go." "Yes, very good." Sam leaned back in his chair and rubbed his face. "This is way beyond anything I've ever worked on. Way beyond anything anyone on Earth has worked on." "I told you," Kethra said gently. "It cannot be fixed with human technology." Sam was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at her with those tired, determined eyes. "Maybe not," he said. "But maybe it doesn't need to be fixed with human technology. Maybe it just needs to be fixed." The next morning, Sam drove to the crash site before dawn. He spent hours inside the broken ship, studying every system, every component, every connection. He took notes. He drew more diagrams. He asked Kethra endless questions. Then he started driving to other places. Junkyards, military surplus stores. Old friends who had strange collections of strange things. He made phone calls. He sent messages. He called in favors from people he had helped over the years. Kethra watched him work. She did not understand what he was doing at first. He seemed to be collecting random objects. Old satellite dishes. Military equipment that had been thrown away. Electronic components from machines she did not recognize. "What are you building?" she asked him on the third day. Sam was bent over a workbench in his garage, surrounded by tools and parts. His hands moved with confidence, connecting things, adjusting things, creating something new. "I'm not sure yet," he admitted, "but I think I'm starting to figure it out." While Sam worked, Danny kept Kethra company. He showed her his room, which was filled with books about space and models of rockets. He showed her his favorite movies, which were stories about humans exploring the stars. He showed her his drawings, which were pictures of aliens and spaceships and distant worlds. "I've always wanted to meet an alien," Danny said. "I used to look up at the stars every night and wonder if anyone was looking back at me." "Many beings look at Earth," Kethra told him, "but most consider your world too primitive to visit." Danny frowned. "That's not very nice. It is not meant as an insult. It is simply how things are. The galaxy is very old. Many species have been traveling between stars for millions of years. Humans have only been doing it for a few decades. But we're learning," Danny said firmly. "We're getting better all the time. One day we'll be out there with everyone else. You'll see." Kethra looked at the small human boy. His confidence was remarkable. His faith in his species was unshakable. She wondered if that faith was foolish or admirable. "Perhaps," she said. "Perhaps you will." On the fifth day, Sam asked Kethra to come to the crash site. When she arrived, she found him inside her ship, surrounded by a mess of human and alien technology. "I need you to tell me if this will work," he said. Kethra looked at what he had built. It was strange. It was ugly. It should not have existed. He had taken the cracked quantum core and wrapped it in a cage of human materials. He had connected it to power converters from old military equipment. He had replaced the shattered crystalline matrices with a complex web of fiber optic cables and copper wire. He had created a completely new system for the navigation computer using parts from satellites and old computers. "This is not Volanti technology," she said slowly. "No," Sam agreed. "It's not human technology either. It's something new. Something in between." Cathra studied the hybrid systems. They were crude. They were inelegant. They violated every principle of Volanti engineering. But as she looked closer, she began to understand what Sam had done. He had not tried to replicate Volanti technology. He had translated it. He had found the underlying principles and expressed them using human materials. It was like someone who could not speak a language writing a poem in that language anyway, capturing the meaning, if not the exact words. "This might actually work," she whispered. Sam smiled tiredly. "Only one way to find out." They connected the final components. Sam stepped back. Cathra activated the power systems. For a long moment, nothing happened. The ship was silent. The hybrid engine sat there, ugly and motionless. Then there was a hum. Low at first, then growing stronger. Lights flickered on across the control panels. The navigation computer booted up, displaying strange mixed symbols, half Volanti and half human. The quantum core, wrapped in its cage of human materials, began to glow. The ship was alive. Cathra stood in shock. She had seen many things in her long career as an ambassador. She had witnessed wonders that would make most beings weep. But she had never seen anything like this. A human, a single primitive human, had done something that should have been impossible. He had fixed alien technology using nothing but determination, creativity, and an absolute refusal to accept defeat. "How?" she asked. "How did you do this?" Sam wiped sweat from his forehead. "Everything's got a logic to it. Energy wants to flow. Systems want to work. You just have to understand what they need and find a way to give it to them." Danny came running into the ship. He had been waiting outside, too excited to stay still. "Did it work?" he shouted. "Did Dad fix it?" Cathra looked at the boy, then at his father, then at the impossible engine that was humming with power. "Yes," she said. "Yes, he did." Danny cheered and threw himself at his father, hugging him tight. Sam laughed and hugged him back. Cathra watched them, this human father and son, and felt something she had not expected to feel: respect, admiration, and something else. Something warmer. She felt like she had been wrong. About Earth, about humans, about everything. "I need to make a call," she said quietly. "To my people, to the Galactic Council." Sam nodded. "Take your time. We'll be here." Cathra walked to the communication console. Thanks to Sam's repairs, it was working again. She entered the codes that would connect her to the council headquarters. Far across the galaxy. It was time to change her report. The communication screen flickered to life. Across thousands of light years, the face of Elder Vorath appeared. He was an ancient being, one of the oldest in the Galactic Council. His form was made of pure energy, shifting and flowing like a living flame. He had watched civilizations rise and fall. He had seen empires span galaxies and then turn to dust. "Ambassador Cathra," he said. His voice was like distant thunder. "We have been concerned. Your scheduled reports were missed. We feared you were lost. I apologize, Elder. My ship was damaged by a solar flare. I crashed on the planet Earth." Vorath's energy form flickered, which was his way of showing surprise. "Earth, the primitive world. Are you injured?" "I am well. More than well. I have something important to report." She told him everything. The crash, the desert, Sam Garcia and his son Danny, the impossible repair, the hybrid engine that was now humming with power behind her. Vorath listened in silence. When she finished, his form had gone very still. "You are saying," he said slowly, "that a single human with no advanced training repaired Volanthi quantum technology?" "Yes, yes. Elder, that is not possible. I thought the same, but I watched him do it. I am standing in my repaired ship right now, powered by an engine that should not work but does." Vorath was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, harder, more serious. The Council's assessment of humanity was clear. They are primitive, undeveloped, thousands of years away from being ready to join the galactic community. Are you suggesting that assessment was wrong? Kethra took a deep breath. What she was about to say would change everything. It could change the future of an entire species. It could change her own career. It could change galactic politics for centuries to come. "Yes," she said. "I believe the assessment was wrong. Explain." "We evaluated humans based on their technology. We measured their machines, their ships, their weapons. By those standards, they are primitive. But we failed to measure something else. Something more important. And what is that? Their spirit. Their determination. Their absolute refusal to accept the impossible." Kethra thought about Sam Garcia. She thought about his tired eyes and his rough hands. She thought about how he had looked at technology that should have been beyond his understanding and seen only a problem to be solved. "This human had no knowledge of quantum mechanics," she said. "He had no training in crystalline engineering. He had never seen alien technology before in his life. But he studied it. He learned it. He found ways to make it work using materials from his own world. He did not have the right tools, so he made new tools. He did not have the right parts, so he invented new parts. He refused to believe that anything was truly impossible." "One human proves nothing," Vorath said. "There are billions of them." "Exactly," Kethra replied. "There are 8 billion humans on that planet. 8 billion beings who share that same spirit, that same determination, that same stubborn refusal to accept limitations." She stepped closer to the screen. "Elder, I have studied many species. I have seen great civilizations with technology far beyond what humans have achieved. But I have never seen a species with such raw potential. They are young, yes. Primitive by our standards, yes. But they are also hungry, curious, driven. They look at the universe and see not obstacles but opportunities." Vorath's form flickered again. "These are bold claims, Ambassador. I know. But consider this. In just a few hundred years, humans went from riding animals to flying through the air. In just a few decades more, they went from flying through the air to leaving their planet entirely. They develop faster than any species in our records. They adapt faster. They learn faster. Speed is not wisdom," Vorath said. "No, but it is potential. And potential is something we should not ignore." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "The Galactic Council has always believed that we should wait for primitive species to develop on their own. We watch them. We evaluate them. We wait until they reach a certain level before making contact. But what if that approach is wrong? What if some species could achieve great things if given a chance, a helping hand, a place in our community? You are suggesting we bring Earth into the Council? I am suggesting we consider it. Not immediately. Not without careful evaluation. But consider this. If one human mechanic can repair Volanthi technology with nothing but determination and creativity, what could humans achieve with access to our knowledge? Our resources? Our experience? Varth was silent for a very long time. Minutes passed. Kethra waited. Finally, the elder spoke. The council will discuss this. A delegation will be sent to evaluate your claims personally. If what you say is true, then perhaps our assessment must be revised. Kethra felt hope bloom in her chest. Thank you, Elder. Do not thank me yet. Many on the council will resist this idea. Humans are unknown, unpredictable. Some will see them as a threat. I understand. Prepare a full report. Include everything. The delegation will arrive in 3 of your Earth months. The communication screen went dark. Kethra stood alone in her ship for a long moment. Then she walked outside, where Sam and Danny were waiting. The sun was setting over the desert. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink and purple. It was beautiful in a harsh, stark way. How did it go? Sam asked. The Galactic Council is sending a delegation. They want to evaluate humanity for possible membership in the galactic community. Sam blinked. Membership? Like we'd be part of some kind of Space United Nations? Something like that. It would mean access to technology, knowledge, trade. It would mean Earth would no longer be isolated. You would become part of a larger universe. Danny's eyes went wide. Does that mean we could travel to other planets? Meet other aliens? Eventually, yes. The boy let out a whoop of joy and ran in circles around them. Too excited to contain himself, Sam watched his son with a soft smile. Then he looked at Kethra. Did my little repair job really cause all this? Your repair job showed me something important. It showed me that humans are more than we believed. You do not wait for the universe to give you what you need. You create it. You build it. You find a way, no matter what. She looked at Danny, who was now trying to do a handstand in the sand. Your son told me that you could fix anything. I did not believe him. But he was right. Sam shook his head. I just did what needed to be done. Nothing special about that. That is exactly what is special about it. The stars were coming out now, one by one, filling the darkening sky. Kethra looked up at them. Somewhere out there, the Galactic Council was preparing a delegation. Somewhere out there, history was beginning to change, and it had all started because a boy believed his father could fix anything. What happens now? Sam asked. Now we wait. The delegation will come. They will see what I have seen. And then, hopefully, everything will change. Sam nodded slowly. Sounds like we've got some time then. You're welcome to stay with us until they arrive. It's not fancy, but we've got a spare room. Kethra smiled. Among her people, a smile meant something different, but she had learned that humans used it to show warmth and gratitude. I would like that very much, she said. Danny came running back, covered in sand. Can't we have dinner now? I'm starving. Can Kethra try Earth food? I bet she's never had pizza before. I have not, Kethra admitted. What is pizza? Danny gasped as if she had said something unbelievable. Dad, we have to show her pizza. This is an emergency. Sam laughed, a warm sound that filled the desert air. All right. Let's go introduce our alien friend to human cuisine. As they walked toward the truck, Danny reached up and took Kethra's hand. Her 4-fingered hand and his 5-fingered hand did not quite fit together properly. But they managed anyway. They always did. 3 months passed like a dream. Kethra lived with the Garcia family, learning about human life in ways she had never expected. She learned how to cook breakfast. She learned how to fix a leaky faucet. She learned how to play catch in the backyard with Danny, though her forearms gave her an unfair advantage. She also learned about sadness and love and loss. She saw the way Sam looked at pictures of his wife. She heard the stories he told Danny about her mother. She understood that humans carried their grief with them always, like a weight they could never put down. but also like a treasure they would never let go. The tiny desert town accepted her with surprising ease. At first, people were shocked and afraid. An alien living among them was not something anyone had expected. But Sam introduced her as a friend, and his word meant something in that community. Slowly, people came around. They brought her food. They asked her questions. They treated her like a neighbor. Is this normal for humans? She asked Sam one evening. To accept strangers so easily? Sam thought about it. Not always. We can be pretty terrible to each other sometimes. But we can also be pretty good. I guess it depends on the situation. And the people. Your people are good. Some of them. And some of them are trying to be. On the day the Galactic Council delegation arrived, the whole town came out to watch. The ship descended from the sky like a falling star. It was massive and beautiful, made of flowing curves and gleaming metal. It landed in the same desert where Kethra had crashed, but this time there was no fire, no smoke, no destruction. Just grace and power and precision. A crowd of humans had gathered at a safe distance. News crews had arrived from all over the world. Leaders of nations watched through satellite feeds. The entire planet held its breath. The ship's door opened, and the delegation emerged. There were 5 of them, each from a different species. Elder Vorath was there, his energy form contained in a special vessel that let him exist in Earth's atmosphere. There were others too, beings of various shapes and sizes, all of them ancient, all of them powerful, all of them skeptical. Kethra met them at the bottom of the ramp. She bowed formally, as protocol demanded. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "I am honored to present this world for your evaluation." The delegates looked around at the gathered humans. They saw the news cameras, the curious faces, the mixture of fear and hope. They saw a primitive species taking its first steps towards something greater. "We have read your report," Vorath said. "It was unusual. We wish to meet this human who repaired your ship." Kethra had expected this. She turned and gestured toward the crowd. Sam Garcia stepped forward. He was wearing his best clothes, which were still simple and worn. His hands were clean, but they still carried the marks of a lifetime of hard work. Danny walked beside him, holding his father's hand. Sam stopped in front of the delegates and nodded politely. "Good morning," or afternoon, or whatever time it is for you folks. "I'm Sam Garcia. This is my son, Danny." The delegates studied him. These ancient beings, who had seen civilizations rise and fall, who had watched stars being born and dying, examined this one ordinary human man with intense curiosity. "You repaired a Volanthi quantum engine," Vorath said. It was not a question. "Yes, sir. I did my best." "How?" "You have no knowledge of our technology. No training. No resources." Sam shrugged. Didn't seem to matter much. A broken machine is a broken machine. You just have to figure out what it needs to work again. "And you were not afraid? Not overwhelmed?" "Sure I was. But my boy was watching." Sam put a hand on Danny's shoulder. "Can't let your kids see you give up just because something's hard." Danny looked up at the delegates with those bright, fearless eyes. "I told you my dad could fix it. He can fix anything." The delegates exchanged looks. They communicated in ways that humans could not see or understand, sharing thoughts and impressions faster than words could travel. Finally, Vorath spoke again. "We have evaluated many species. We have watched civilizations develop for millions of years. We have never seen anything quite like humanity." He turned to address not just Sam and Danny, but all the humans watching, all the cameras broadcasting to the world. "You are primitive. Your technology is simple. Your history is short. By the standards we have used for countless ages, you are not ready to join the galactic community." Sam's face fell. The watching crowd murmured with disappointment. But, Varth continued, standards can be wrong. We have judged species by what they have achieved. Perhaps we should also judge them by what they could achieve. He looked at Sam Garcia, this ordinary man who had done something extraordinary. Ambassador Kethra's report spoke of human determination, human creativity, human refusal to accept the impossible. We have seen evidence of this today. A single human, with no advantages, solved a problem that should have been beyond him. He did not have knowledge, but he had will. He did not have tools, but he had ingenuity. He did not accept failure. The Elder's energy form pulsed brightly. The Galactic Council has decided. Earth will be granted provisional membership in the galactic community. You will have access to knowledge, to technology, to the accumulated wisdom of 10,000 civilizations. In return, we ask only that you share with us what makes you special. Your creativity, your determination, your hope. The crowd erupted in cheers. People hugged each other. Tears flowed freely. History was being made, and everyone there knew it. Danny pulled on Kethra's arm. Does this mean we can visit your planet now? She smiled at him. Yes, Danny. One day, you can visit any planet you want. The boy's smile could have lit up the stars. Later, after the speeches and the celebrations, Kethra found Sam standing alone at the edge of the crowd. He was looking up at the night sky, at the countless stars that were now within humanity's reach. You changed everything, she told him. You realize that, don't you? Your name will be remembered for thousands of years. The man who proved humanity was worthy. Sam shook his head slowly. I didn't prove anything. I just fixed an engine. That is exactly what made it meaningful. You did not try to prove anything. You did not do it for fame or glory. You did it because someone needed help, and you knew how to give it. She stood beside him, looking at the same stars. When I crashed on your planet, I thought I was stranded on a primitive world with no hope of rescue. Instead, I found something I was not expecting. I found people who help strangers, who believe in the impossible, who refuse to give up no matter what. She turned to face him. The Council can give you technology, knowledge, power, but you have given us something we had forgotten. You have reminded us what it means to hope, to believe, to try. Sam was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, that same tired, warm smile she had seen on that first day in the desert. I guess we make a pretty good team. Then, yes, I believe we do. Danny came running over, followed by half the town's children. They had 1,000 questions about space and aliens, and all the adventures waiting for them among the stars. Kethra answered as many as she could. She told them about distant worlds and ancient civilizations. She told them about wonders beyond their imagination. She told them that the universe was vast and beautiful and waiting for them to explore it. And through it all, she kept thinking about how it had started. A broken ship in the desert. A kind man with rough hands. A boy who believed his father could fix anything. Sometimes, she realized, the most important moments in history come from the simplest acts. A stranger offering water. A father refusing to give up. A child's faith. The stars were closer now. The future was brighter. And it was all because one ordinary human had done something extraordinary. Because when his son said he could fix it, Sam Garcia had believed him. And in the end, that belief had been enough to change everything.